Welcome to B&R Bricking. My name is Rowan, and over the next month or so, I'm going to be using my Lego to build the largest Star Wars Acclamator I can. We are still actively working on the Executor, but because I live an hour away from Benaya's house and those are his parts, I decided to start on a project for my own collection. This is my progress about a week into the build, and it's shaping up to be about 90 studs long, or roughly 2.5 feet. The progress so far has been constructed using only the Lego in my collection. However, I have made an order of dark red parts to color match the hanger stripe on the top, and I've also ordered a few plates and tiles to finish off the bottom. Part of what inspired me to start this project is the fact that I've recently added this battle pack to my collection, bringing my total number of Phase 1 clone troopers up to 7, which is a perfect crew for this ship. And these are some of my favorite minifigures ever. They're just beautiful. My goals for this build are to give it as much of an interior as I can fit, while still having it as structurally sound as possible so I can nearly toss this thing into the air. I want this thing to be solid, as well as capture all of the authentic details of the Acclamator. And I feel like this is the perfect scale for this ship because it's a relatively small death triangle in Star Wars anyway, and it's going to be really manageable, and I'm going to be able to focus more on detail and not struggle so much with the frame and geometry as I have with the Executor. A large part of what's made this build significantly easier is the fact that I designed the panels before I designed the frame, so I could design the frame around the geometry of the panels and get the angles exact. This slice here is the first panel I made, and I had to go through some weird angling to get the stripes to be parallel, but I think it worked out pretty good, and this is probably going to stay the same throughout the whole build. Other details I'll probably tweak and change as I go along, but I'm feeling pretty confident about this. I'm still not sure how I'm going to do the Republic insignia on the side. If you have any ideas, let me know. Otherwise, I'm considering doing a custom pattern on this Acclamator to sort of personalize it a little bit, maybe some unique colored accents. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, here's the space I've allotted so far for the interior, so we have a lot of space back under the bridge. So I plan on actually building a bridge interior down in here, and then up front you're going to be able to lift the dark red stripe up, and there's going to be a hallway down there. Hopefully I have enough room to fit minifigures in here. It's going to be pretty tight up here, but there's definitely going to be the bridge. And this is my design for the stripe that goes down the middle. It has a pretty gradual angle that's super satisfying to build, and I just used hinges at the back and technically an illegal building technique up front, but we'll ignore that. It doesn't really stress the bricks out anyway. And then these panels are what I ordered in dark red because I have 0 of them. So that'll make it look pretty sleek when those come in, and it'll feel a whole lot more complete once I get that all dark red and paneled off. This is the frame I have so far, made mostly out of Technic beams with mounting plates for the panels, and there's not much to it yet, but I'd say it's pretty good being less than 1 week into the build. The greebling on the side is pretty much just a preliminary test, but I just wanted to lay this down to get a feel for how the dimensions of the ship would work together, and I think this would actually pass as the final product. I don't think this is too bad. I just want to add more blue into it. I really love the contrast of the blue with the dark red. I think it just makes this ship a little bit more interesting, and it's not just a gray space triangle. That's part of the appeal of this ship to me. It just makes it a little bit more unique, a little bit more colorful, and overall more interesting to look at. I've also spent a lot of time on the superstructure portion up top, just making the angles super tight and accurate, and minimizing the gaps as much as possible. This is one of my favorite parts of the project so far. I think it's looking great. This is another part that's probably not going to change. I'm really happy with how strong and clean this section has turned out. And it's one of the iconic features of the Acclamator that I feel like I'm representing pretty well here. I also have a portion of the tail built, which as you can probably see is pretty temporary, but I was just using it to figure out the overall length of the ship and the general geometry of the tail section, which is another iconic part of this ship. I really love how the tail looks on the Acclamator. One thing I do need to improve upon on this design is this gap running down the side. I'm not really sure how to fix this issue because it's a super narrow angle, but I'll keep experimenting with designs and let me know if you have any ideas for solutions in the comments. And finally, probably the most daunting goal of this project is that I want it to have functional landing gear. I want to be able to fold this landing gear away to display it, but also be able to fold it out and it to support the entire weight of the model. Anyway, that is the week 1 update of my Lego Acclamator mock. If you're interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to hit the like button, and we'll see you next time on B&R Bricking.